The donor money is drying up. Oh my God, that's so awesome. This is the best thing that could ever happen to us in our country and to affect our lives personally. Oh my God. So here's what I mean by that. The donor money is drying up on both sides of the aisle, left and the right. The donors, the ones that have bought our elected leaders for years and years and generations and messed everything up, they have significantly reduced the amount of donation bribes, bribery money, legalized bribes that they're giving to our elected leaders. In some cases, more than half of it has stopped. And if you've ever wondered if all this donor money, this big donor money, affects what our politicians do, consider this. They are literally told, the donors are telling the elected leaders, the reason why we're pulling back our donation money is because you're not getting stuff for us done. The piggy bank is drying up. They literally called it a piggy bank, and that because they're not getting a return on their investment, the returns that they'd like to get, it's drying up. The piggy bank is stopping, almost. I hope it does stop, and I think it will eventually. So basically, we live in a system of legalized bribes. I think this is something that everybody knows on some level, and it's now coming more into the forefront because of the last election cycle, which is a good thing, so maybe we can do something about it, like get it out. But let me just give you an example. I'll take a really big one. Look at the issue of universal background checks for all gun purchases. Close the gun show loophole. That has a 93% approval rating. We can't agree on anything in this country, but this one has a 93%. So how do we not have that? We don't have it because all of the politicians talking thoughts and prayers are with the victims. They're just, when it comes from a politician, thoughts and prayers really means we're not going to do shit. And we just want you focused on thoughts and prayers so that we don't have to do anything. You look at the money trail for all those politicians as to why they don't do anything for change. It's because they are on the take. Legalized bribes from the NRA and major gun manufacturers. They get their checks from those guys, not from you. They're not going to represent you, the 93%. So they represent that small minority that wants to sell guns to anybody and everybody, even if it, But anyway, I don't want you commenting on this video telling us your position on guns, whether you're for them, against them, or this particular issue, for it or against the gun show loophole and so forth. That's not the point of this thread, and it's not the point to call out elected leaders or anything like that in this thread either. This is just a concept thread of a much bigger picture. We cannot even have, between us and our elected leaders, we cannot even have an honorable disagreement or an honorable agreement for that matter if they're going to be on the take and accepting legalized bribes. That creates this massive conflict of interest. Conflicts of interest that are illegal in anywhere else in business except when it comes to politics, which is where the laws are crafted that affects all of us. How crazy that the one place that laws are crafted that affects all of us is the one place where legalized bribes are legal. That was redundant, where bribes are legal, and creating that conflict of interest is illegal. You can just take any issue. Here's another one: single payer healthcare for everybody. 60 to 62% of the country wants it. Overwhelmingly popular. You call it Medicare for everyone. I think it was like 77% of the people want it. In a normal functioning democracy, something with that high approval rating, that would have happened like yesterday. And we still can't get it to this day? Are you kidding me? Why? Again, don't rant and rave about whether you're for or against that particular issue. This is not about that. This video is about the fact we cannot get something that has 60 to 62 or 77% approval rating or 93% approval rating because our elected leaders are on the take. Because of legalized bribes, that's created this enormous conflict of interest. Have you ever seen a politician go into a debate or an argument or whatever and actually disclose these conflicts of interest just in fairness? No. I wonder why they don't. Because they know they are going to lose in popularity so much that they'll be voted out of office. Exactly. We have election cycles that happen every 4 and every 2 years for that matter. And there is a new rise of political leaders that aspire to be political leaders, I should say, that are running for offices, local, state, federal, even the presidency in the next election, hopefully. And of these new people that are running, There's a whole breed of new people that reject private money in politics. A person like that, whether they're left, right, independent, or whatever, I want somebody that I can have honorable agreements and honorable disagreements with, because at least we know what their own conviction is, whether we agree or we don't agree, and at least they're going to be representing a true democracy rather than an oligarchy or a kleptocracy, which is a government that makes a government that makes decisions against the interests of its own people. That's what a kleptocracy is, and that's what we have. Anytime you have something that has 60, 70, 80, 90% approval rating, and it's not a constitutional issue, and we still can't get it, it's because we have a kleptocracy instead of a true democracy. So the reason I'm making this video is, one, I'm super excited, and two, I want you guys to know about it, that the donor money is beginning to dry up a lot for both of our two parties and our stupid two-party system. So that we can pave the way to make it easier, because anybody that is going to all out reject, the big private donor money, they are right now institutionally disadvantaged a great deal, because politics as usual, you're running against somebody, they just have to get a lot of money from a few different donors and they're more than covered. But if you're going to be a principled person, you have to get a lot of money small sums of money from lots and lots of people. And that puts you automatically at an institutional disadvantage. So the way that we win is it becomes overwhelmingly popular that we get money out of politics. And then we get one of those cats in there, man, woman, anything in between, in the White House. Oh my God. They're not just pushing to take big money out of politics. That's just a step so that we can overcome the institutional disadvantage that we have. So once we get into power, somebody like that gets into power, the end game actually, as far as money in politics and donor money, is to amend our Constitution. A constitutional amendment banning all money, all private money from politics. That way it's all publicly financed. We have 100% clean elections. Can you flip and imagine how cool that would be? By the way, this is something that's also in the 90-something percentile population to get money out, private money out of politics. So this is our chance, guys. Spread this video. Let it be a message that it's not me, it's the messaging here. We want money, all of it, out of politics so that we can be represented the way that we're supposed to in a real democracy. And this is our chance, because the tides are turning that way. The donor money is drying up. There's a whole new breed of people, ambitious people that have politics on their eye, who want to represent us and not donors, and they want to get all money out of politics. And then we can finally have productive discussions, even disagreements that turn out to be productive. Right now, we don't produce anything except prisoners, infant baby deaths. That was intelligent. And speaking of illiteracy, we're just about number one in prison population, infant mortality, and illiteracy. We're not number one in anything good like math, science, inventions, anything that helps anybody anymore. It all comes down to money and politics, man. Money in politics. 93% of the population wants a universal background check on all gun purchases, and we can't get it. I'm telling you, man, you can't even talk to any of these politicians unless you have a printout list of their biggest donors, and then you can connect the dot between every question and answer and their donor list, and you'll see that, oh, well, their answers line up with their donors. And this is just one of those issues. You take universal health care, you take measurements for gun control, you take college tuition fees, you take minimum wage, you take our trade deals, you take the endless, meaningless wars against countries that haven't attacked us. You just go down issue by issue by issue. Wall Street is another big one. And you cannot talk to any of these unprincipled, soulless cretins unless you have a printout of their biggest donor list. And then everything adds up and it makes sense. Oh yeah, okay. We can't have a discussion unless you reject all private money. And that's where we're at. We cannot have a good election or a clean election. We can't have principled people electing us. We can't even have a discussion with them. There is no talking to them unless we get the conflicts of interest to stop. And the only way to get that to stop is to end the bribes. end the bribes now. So share this, get this out there. And the messaging is so important, okay? And feel free to comment too as well, but keep the commenting on what the video is actually about. Don't use this to rail against or for any particular issue except money and politics. Okay? Bye for now.